Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sabidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadanti Supadantikam Mandeham Shri Gurum Shri Dapatakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Rughunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadudam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidam Sya Ye Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Budre Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees for today's Bhagavad Gita class. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. Chapter 13, text 24. Ye evam veti purusham prakritim cha gunai saha sarvata vartamanopi nasabhuyo abhijayate. Sachi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Ya evam veti purusham prakatim cha gunai saha sarvada vartamanopi nasabhuyo abhijayate.
Very bold. Tarini Mataji, translation please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Very good. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. So what Krishna wants Arjuna to understand, that a person who is in the material world, okay, who is thorough in understanding these particular aspects of the material nature, the living entity, the Satchidananda form of the supreme, the living entity, Jivatma, of course, the Bahiranga Shakti, that is the, what you call, the material nature, and the interaction of the three modes of material nature. So all the activities will come into being or come into existence only by the interactions of the three modes of material nature only. So any activity that we do in this material world, it can be categorized in the three modes of material nature, either in single mode or in the mixed mode, whatever it is, in different permutation combination. So a person who knows this, the material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of material nature, is sure to attain liberation. So here we should understand in tattva. Okay, not that we just read it and go. So we should understand in tattva, and accordingly we should live a life also. Okay, understanding this, and we should regulate our life, discipline our life. Only then, we will attain liberation. Not that by just reading this we will not get liberation. We should not mistake that. Or simply by reading Bhagavad Gita, yes, even reading is also very good. That's also a spiritual activity. So we'll improve, we'll advance spiritually. But to attain liberation, we have to follow the sadhana very attentively, and we should have a disciplined, regulated life. Inattentive sadhana will be very slow. We are all doing sadhana, okay, practicing Krishna Bhakti doing so many things. We are chanting, we are reading, we are listening, and we are associating with devotees, doing deity worship, everything we are doing. But if we are not attentive in this sadhana, there will be progress, but it will be very, very slow. So the same sadhana, if you are very attentive, the progress will be faster. So simply reading and not following the instructions will not help much. So we have to read, understand it, contemplate on it, and apply, implement in our day-to-day life. Then for sure we'll attain liberation. We'll cross the three modes of material nature and situate ourselves in the spiritual world, in our Surupa, engaging ourselves in the loving devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is what Lord Krishna is guaranteeing to Arjuna. Okay, one who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. So when he says sure, we should follow it, implement it, practice very nicely, attentively. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. So what is this regardless of this present position means? What do you understand? He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. What do we understand from this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Dhanvat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Pranam, Mataji.
What I can understand, it's like if we get the birth of any like animal or any creature or might be human being, then we will not take the birth in the same position.
Not exactly, Mataji. This
No.
is only not.
Okay,
This is only meant for human beings. This teaching is not given to animals or any other living entities. These teachings is specifically meant for those in the category of human beings.
Okay, okay. Then okay, Prabhuji, sorry.
Okay. So what do you understand? Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Anybody who is of a lower like if you're not a brahmana, or if you are like a woman, or anyone of a lower position also, if we follow if we practice Krishna consciousness with full attention, regardless of what position we are in now, we will not take birth again.
Yes, Haribol. Yes, exactly, Mataji. Whether we are in which varna or which ashrama, that is immaterial. Whether we are a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra, okay, brahmachari, grahastha, manaprastha, or sannyasi, irrespective of what caste, color, creed, varna, ashrama, that is, regardless of his present position, he will not take birth again. If, as Mataji rightly said, that irrespective of what color, caste, creed, or varna and ashrama, that is immaterial. If we follow the Krishna conscious regulation sadhanas properly, that is immaterial, will not take birth in this material world again. Haribol Mataji, very good. Hare Krishna. So purport. Clear understanding of material nature, the super soul, the individual soul, and their interrelation makes one eligible to become liberated and turn to the spiritual atmosphere without being forced to return to this material nature. So here, Prabhupada makes it a little more clear. Clear understanding of material nature, super soul, individual soul, and the interrelation makes one eligible. This is a result of knowledge. The purpose of knowledge is to understand distinctly that the living entity has by chance fallen into this material existence. By his personal behavior in association with authorities, saintly person sent a spiritual master. He has to understand his position and then revert to the spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness by understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is explained by the personality of Godhead. So from this, it is very clear that on our own accord, with our own strength, we won't be able to do this. So what here Prabhupada says, by his personal endeavor in association with authorities, saintly persons and a spiritual master. He has to understand. Because when we read this, we may understand a certain aspect of that. We may not understand the in-depth meaning of that. So only when the acharyas, the saintly personalities, the pure devotees of the Lord, when they give commentaries on that, explanation on that, then we will understand. So from one verse, what we'll understand? We will not understand much. But the in-depth meaning in commentary, they elaborate. Then we understand, oh, it has a meaning like this also. So we have to understand that right perspective. So all the acharyas, they give interpretation, purport. For example, Prabhupada has given Bhakti Vedanta purports, very elaborate, quoting from different shastras, the relevant shlokas. Okay, then he makes us understand in different angle. That is how we can understand. Otherwise, on our own, it is not possible. So we need the association of authorities, acharyas, saintly personalities, okay, Mahat, and a spiritual master. A spiritual master is also must, because we have to get connected to the sampradaya. So a person may be well read, very literate, but he doesn't have a university degree. Saraswati Mataji, you are in the medical field. Maybe a person is very expert in surgery or by experience or somehow, but he doesn't have a degree, university degree. He may be better expert or surgeon than the actually practicing surgeon. Maybe, we don't know. But will he get an employment?
No,
He will not get. Why?
he will not.
Why he will not
Because the degree is necessary for him to get a work anywhere.
That is the authority. That is the authorization. Without, that's why we need a spiritual master to connect in the right parampara. Okay, there's a chain. If one the link is missing, the connection is gone, isn't it? So spiritual master is the acharya or the person, spiritual personality who is connecting us to the parampara and back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why we need the association of the authorities, saintly personalities, and a spiritual master. So he is called a Diksha Guru. Okay, a person who is responsible for our deliverance from this material world. He takes the responsibility of delivering us from this material world to the spiritual world. That is what the Diksha Guru does. He takes the responsibility. He vows for us. People will think, how is it possible? Just by giving initiation, how is it? Because he's the we have responsible parents. Okay, the parents vouch for the children, isn't it? Material parents. Similarly, the spiritual teacher, the spiritual parent vouches for the spiritual children. So it is the responsibility of the spiritual master to see that his disciples are delivered from this material existence. So that is the duty of the spiritual master. So we need a spiritual master also. So he has to understand his position and then revert to spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness by understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is explained by the personality. Then it is certain that he will never come again into this material existence. He will be transferred into spiritual world for a blissful eternal life of knowledge. So after liberation, where we are going? We are going to a spiritual world. Okay. Spiritual world means Vaikuntha Dhama. It's not imaginary. It's not that we are going to the Brahman and merge with the Brahman. Here it is very clearly said, you'll be transferred into the spiritual world for a blissful eternal life of knowledge. The other type of Sayuja Mukti, the other type of liberation is not blissful. Why it is not blissful? Purushottam Prabhu, the Sayuja Mukti, the impersonal liberation, what the impersonalists are after. Why it is not blissful?
Because there is no Adan Pradhan, Prabhuji. You just go and merge with the Jyoti. So there is no Adan Pradhan.
Yeah, there is no seva. There is no activity. It's a neutrality stage. Okay. So bliss only. So there, what is there? Only Sat. No Chit and Ananda. So Sat, Chit and Ananda is there only in the spiritual world, where the devotees or the Jivatma engage in pure devotional service of Supreme Lord. So that's why I said he will be transferred to the spiritual world for a blissful, eternal life of knowledge. Okay. So any questions or any comments? Think?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Just to add little bit, Prabhu, like I heard the same thing that you were telling now, no, Prabhu, like Jnana alone is not important, like Vijnana only is important. Like Jagat Sakshi Prabhu was telling, like when we get liberation, we are there, and they will not ask you like how many Gopuras in this temple, how many slokas in Bhagavad Gita, how many Arjuna said. No, what you learned from Bhagavad Gita, how you applied in your life, only that will be taken into consideration, like how many sevas you did, how many, like there are many instructions that is given to Arjuna. So what all you practiced in your life, only that will be taken into consideration, not the knowledge.
Right. Jnana, Vijnana. Jnana is theoretical knowledge. Vijnana is applied knowledge. So we have to apply what we have learned. Exactly, Mother. Right. Because even Prabhupada, once, one of the devotees had by hearted all the 7 slokas. So one devotee said, this Prabhupada, this devotee has by hearted all the 7 slokas, and without referring to the book, he can recite all the slokas. Then Prabhupada asked, can he live one sloka of Bhagavad Gita? Can we live? Can he live? That is more important. By hearting, of course, is a good effort, good, nice. But more than that is to live by one sloka. So that is the importance of application. So we should not be proud, I know so many slokas, I have by hearted this, I have by hearted that. But how much are we implemented? How much are we going to implement in our day-to-day life? That is more important. Yes, studying, by hearting, these are all good. It's all good spiritual activity. But from that, what we understood and how we are applying this in our day-to-day life. So this is more important. Application. Very good, Mataji. Very good. So any other points? So we'll go to the next 25. ध्यानेन आत्मनि पश्यन्ति केचित् आत्मानम् आत्मना अन्ये संख्येन योगेन कर्म योगेन चापरे. Mayuri Mataji and Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
ध्यायेन आत्मनि पश्यन्ति केचित् आत्मानं आत्मना अन्ये सांख्येन योगेन कर्म योगेन चापरे.
Hare Krishna for translation. Some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, other through the cultivation of knowledge, and still other through working without fruitive desires.
Very good. Some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. Okay, so that different people understand or perceive the super soul in different ways. Some through meditation. So which yoga is this? Some through meditation. What is the yoga?
Ashtanga yoga.
What is the name of? Yes, meditation, dhyana yoga, ashtanga yoga. Others through the cultivation of knowledge. Which yoga is this?
Jnana yoga.
Jnana yoga, yes. And still others through working without fruitive desires. Which yoga is this?
Nishkam karma yoga.
Yes. And still others through working without fruitive desires. I mean, Nishkama karma yoga. So the Lord, or in other words, you can say Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga also. But that topmost yoga, that is. The Lord informs Arjuna that the conditioned souls can be divided into two classes as far as man's search for self-realization is concerned. Those who are atheists, agnostics, and skeptics are beyond the sense of spiritual understanding. So they are out. They are not in the category at all. Who? Atheists and agnostics and skeptics are beyond the sense of spiritual understanding. So we don't include them in this category at all. But there are others who are faithful in their understanding of spiritual life, and they are called introspective devotees, philosophers, and workers who have renounced fruitive results. Those who always try to establish the doctrine of monism are also counted among the atheists and agnostics. So here, Prabhupada is making a point. We have to understand this. Those who always try to establish the doctrine of monism, which path is referred here? Those who always try to establish the doctrine of monism are also counted among the atheists and agnostics. So which path is that? Who tried to establish the doctrine of monism?
Impersonalism.
Yes.
Impersonalist.
Impersonalists. But they are also transcendentalists. But here Prabhupada says, because you are God, I am God, he is God, she is God, everybody is God. That is monism. You are one. Monism means one. Monotheistic is our philosophy. Only one God. This is monism. Okay. Are also counted among whom? Atheists and agnostics. In other words, only the devotees of Supreme Personality of God are best situated in spiritual understanding, because they understand that beyond this material nature are the spiritual world and the Supreme Personality of God, who is expanded at Paramatma, super soul in everyone, the all-pervading Godhead. So who is practicing the right yoga? Only the devotees who has chosen the Bhakti mark. He will only understand all the three aspects, that is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan aspects of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They only believe that there is a spiritual world. Okay, there are activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotees are serving Supreme Personality of Godhead in the spiritual world. Do the impersonalists believe in Vaikuntha?
No problem.
So what do they believe?
They believe in Brahma Jyoti.
Yes. So they don't believe in Vaikuntha. They know only Brahman. They don't go beyond that. Isn't it?
Prabhupada, what's the meaning of agnostics?
What exactly is the meaning? I don't know, Mataji. Let me check. Okay. Okay, the meaning is given like this: a person who believes that nothing is known or can be known of the existence of nature of God. Okay. In other words, similar to atheism only. They don't have any idea, so that's why they say no God exists. So that is agnostics. So
In Hindi, Prabhuji, in Hindi we call it Nastik.
Nastik, yeah. So Nastik also, atheist also same.
Same.
Different, yeah. Okay, so only the devotee, who takes the path of Bhakti Yoga, completely understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because he knows Brahman, he knows Paramatma, he knows Bhagwan, all the three aspects. And he knows very well that there is a supreme abode, Vaikuntha Loka, spiritual world, where varieties of activities are taking place between the Supreme Lord and his pure devotees. Whereas the impersonalists knows only Brahman, they want to just enter into the Brahma Jyoti and forget about themselves. What is the destination of the Dhyana yogis, Ashtanga yogis? Where do they go after liberation? What do they? We know Brahmavadis or the Mayavadis, they believe in Brahman. Where do they go? They go to Brahma Jyoti. What about the Dhyana yogis or Ashtanga yogis? Where do they go after liberation?
To Paramatma.
Prabhuji, they believe in Paramatma, so they goes to Vaikuntha level. Prabhuji.
There is no Paramatma in Vaikuntha. The Paramatma aspect is only in the material world. Is there Paramatma in Vaikuntha? Bhagavan is there. Why Paramatma? So what is their destination? Tarani Mataji, what is their destination?
Brahmajyoti only, Prabhuji.
What is that?
Brahmajyoti only.
Yes, they will also end up in Brahma Jyoti. There is another place. They will also go to Brahma Jyoti only. Because there is no service, no. There is no service for them. Service only for bhaktas, devotees. So devotees, they will go to Vaikuntha Loka, Goloka, wherever it is, depending upon whom they worship. If they worship Narayana, Vishnu and all, they will go to Vaikunthas. If they worship Krishna, Radha Krishna, Radha Ramana, okay, and Madan Gopal, like this, Madan Mohana, they all will go where? Golokdham. So depending upon whom you worship, you will end up in that particular loka to associate and to serve the Supreme Lord in that particular capacity.
Prabhuji, the Jnanis also go to the Brahma Jyoti as well.
Yeah, the Jnanis mainly that they are called, mainly the impersonalist.
The Jnanis and Dhyanis will go to the Brahma Jyoti, and Bhaktas only can go to.
Yes. So only they believe in the personality of Godhead.
Okay.
Only they have the personality. All others, personality is secondary. That is only when he comes in this material world, he takes a personality. He takes the form of a person. Otherwise, he's abstract light. He is Arupi. Arupa. What is that? No form. Arupi, right? Am I right? Without form. When he comes to this material world, he takes form. But in spirit, actually, he has no form. He has no. He has legs everywhere. He has mouth everywhere. He has eyes everywhere.
Sakar or Nirakar?
Sakar or Nirakar. Yes, right. So only the bhaktas, the devotees, know very well that Lord has a spiritual form. He has a spiritual abode. He has so many devotees to accept seva from them. So he does so many leelas with them in the spiritual world. Okay, in different rasas, that is Shanta rasa, Dasa rasa, then Sakhya rasa, Vasalya rasa, and Madhuri rasa. So in different meadows, they're all interacting with the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. So these are all myths for others, especially for the Mayavada philosophy followers. That's why Prabhupada is putting them almost in the category of atheists. But they're also transcendentalists. We know that. From that context, he is putting them because they think that once they realize, once they liberate, they will become Bhagwan because they are merging in the Brahma Jyoti. So they become Bhagwan. So you are Narayana, I am Narayana, she is Narayana, everybody is Narayana. Only thing that you have not realized, I have realized. So this is the philosophy.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, like if we pray to Rama, then we go to his abode. Like
Ayodhya.
Narsimha, we go to
Ayodhya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that case, do they again take birth and then
No, 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 no.
go to
No,
Radha
no.
Krishna?
No. There is not that, we are not, I am fed up here, I will go to other. No. Because if they are so much, their Ishtadeva, there is Narasimha or Lord Ram or whoever it is, they have got their own abode and they are happy. For example, Hanuman. Okay. Hanumanji is so fond of Lord Rama. Even there are stories. I think Narada was instructed by, Lord Krishna to go and call Hanuman. Okay. Then Narada went to Hanuman and said, Dwaragadish Krishna is calling you. He said, I don't want to come. My Lord is Lord Ram. He didn't go. Okay, then Narada returned and said, where is Hanuman? He said, he is not willing to come. He wants to see only the Lord in that Ram forms. Then he said, go and say that, Lord Ram is calling. When he said, Lord Ram, then he went. No, not Narada, Garuda, sorry. Garuda. Then Garuda said, told Hanuman, please sit on my wing, I will take you. You mind your own business. I know my own way. Okay. Before even Garuda reached, Hanuman was there. Hanuman had already taken darshan of, Lord Krishna in the form of Lord Rama, then came back. When, Garuda reached, he came to know that Hanuman already came and took darshan of Lord Ram and went back. So Lord, Rama is, Hanuman is so close to, so even if he is given a chance to go to Goloka, he will not go. He is 100% happy in the company of Lord Rama as his master. So a devotee who is worshipping Lord Ram or Narsimhadeva or Narayana, whoever it is, that is the Ishtadevada, and they want to serve in that particular form. So it's not that, okay, after this I will go there and then come back. No, nothing like that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Regarding Hanuman Leela, Prabhuji, he is a Chiranjeevi, and this is the Chiranjeevi always stay in Bhuloka only, Prabhuji. So how Hanuman can be presented in two places?
Chiranjeevi, it doesn't mean that, is eternally in this material world. It's a long span of time. That's it. Markandeya for 7, what is that? For 7 yugas, still there. Markandeya is still there.
Yeah, 5 lives of Brahmaji is
something like that. But it's a long span of time. That's all. Chiranjeevi means not for eternity. Okay. Then they goes, and they will participate in different worlds. Hanuman and all these devotees, they will be taking part in the leelas of the Supreme Lord in different worlds, because there's not only one world, there are many universes. So this leela goes on and on. So all the companions of the Supreme Lord, be it Arjuna or Hanuman or whoever it is, Lord Shiva or Brahma, all of them takes part in different leelas in different worlds. Once the leela of this particular universe is over or planet is over, they are taken in different worlds. Sometimes they're all on a mission. So when the minister comes, the entourage come. The secretary, ministers. So similarly, whenever Lord comes, he takes his entourage to wherever he goes. Isn't it? Usually that's what is happening. So they're always there with the Supreme Lord whenever he goes to different material worlds. And what is their role? Through the Leela, by participating in the Leela of the Supreme Lord, they teach the ordinary people, the conditioned soul like us, different lessons. And they will give us these philosophies and doctrines so that we will be able to go back home, back to Godhead. So they become an instrument in our deliverance. Is it okay, Prabhu?
Thank you.
So here it's said that, in other words, only the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are best situated in spiritual understanding. because they understand that beyond this material nature are the spiritual world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is expanded as Paramatma, the Super Soul in everyone, the all-pervading Godhead. Of course, there are those who try to understand the Supreme Absolute Truth by cultivation of knowledge. So that they are Jnana Yogis. And they can be counted in the class of the faithful. The Sankhya philosophers analyze this material world into 24 elements, which you already discussed in the earlier classes. And they place the individual soul as the 25th item, the soul. When they are able to understand the nature of the individual soul to be transcendental to the material elements, they are able to understand also that above the individual soul, there is Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the 26th element. That is as Paramatma. He is the 26th element. Thus, gradually, they also come to the standard of devoted service in Krishna consciousness. Gradually. Who? The Sankhya philosophers. Those who work without fruitive results are also perfect in their attitude. They are given a chance to advance to the platform of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Those who work without fruitive, Nishkama Karma Yogis, they're also given a chance to advance to the platform of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Here it is stated that there are some people who are pure in Krishna consciousness and who try to find out the super soul by meditation. And when they discover the super soul within themselves, they become transcendently situated. Similarly, there are others who also try to understand Supreme Soul by cultivation of knowledge. There are others who will cultivate the Hatha Yoga system and who try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by childish activities. Prabhupada, made the Hatha Yogis a childish activity. Why? Because they are trying to, just like the children are trying to catch the moon, like that. So here Prabhupada is referring them as who's trying to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by childish activity. This Hatha Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga and all, it's just like a child's activities. But the real devotees, the real person, the real individual is one who devote himself to the service of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhakti Yogi. Okay, so any points or any questions? So the Dhyana Yogis, Jnana Yogis, and devotees. Okay. So devotees, we know, if they practice perfectly, they will attain the spiritual world. The Jnana Yogis and Dhyana Yogis, they will not immediately get. They have to become devotees. So they will be given chance again and again. Even if they get liberated from this material world, they will not be able to go to the spiritual world. Unless and until they associate with devotees, they become devotees. Can you give some examples who were jnanis before and who became devotees? Or who were yogis and who became devotees from our scriptures? Some devotees who were jnanis and who then they later on become devotees. Can you give some examples?
Chatush Kumar, Prabhuji.
Yes. Chatush Kumar, Sanat, Sanatana, Sananda, Sanaka. They were all, jnanis.
Nirvishit Jnanis.
Impersonalist, actually.
They were all impersonalists. But then how did they become devotees? When they...
With the smell of tulsi of the leaf.
Yeah.
Leaf of Krishna.
And who else?
Sukhdev Goswami Prabhuji.
Sukhdev Goswami, right. Sukhdev Goswami. He was also impersonalist. Brahmavadi, Mayavadi. Brahmavadi, Brahman relation. Then who else? From Chaitanya Leela,
Prakashananda Saraswati.
Prakashananda Saraswati, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. They're all, hardcore impersonalists. By the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they all became devotees. There are many, who were jnanis, but then later they became devotees. What about Dhruva? Was
He
he a
was
jnani?
he was the Sakam Karmi Prabhuji first, then
He was a Mishra Bhakta,
Mr.
Karma Mishra Bhakta. Yeah, okay, he was aspiring for
Kingdom, bigger kingdom.
a bigger kingdom than that of Lord Brahma also. So he was not a pure devotee, he was aspiring for material benefits. But then after having the darshan of the Supreme Lord, all his material desires went away, isn't it? He became a pure devotee. But he was not a jnani nor a dhyani. Okay. Hare
He was
Krishna.
just
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So there are pure devotees and Jnana Mishra Bhakta, Karma Mishra Bhakta, and all are there. Okay. Jnana is predominant for Jnanis. There are also Bhaktas, but Jnana predominates. Karma Mishra Bhaktas, Karma predominates. Bhakti just, is there. But, predominantly they are Karma. They are following Karma or Jnana. Now, Bhakta, is Bhakti is predominant. They may be acting. They will also be, known as Jnanis or, doing so many material activities, but they are devotees. All these activities, whether, studying Vedas or Upanishads or Puranas or, involving any material activities, so-called material activities, everything for them is for dedication to the Supreme Personality. Dovetailing everything for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They will not abstain from any activity. Okay? That's called Yukta Vairagya. Everything they will dovetail for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So any other points?
actually Prabhuji, I was just saying this Dhruva, Prahlad Maharaj, they got the association of Naradji, the higher college of Bhakti. If we get admission from there, the life got changed immediately. Prabhu. From the
So
Bhakta Sangha.
Narada Maharshi has transformed many
Many Prabhuji, and
many.
they make it immediately became very high level devotees.
Yeah. The Maharshi has transformed many people to devotees. Even the curse, it's a blessing in disguise, isn't it? Saintly personalities, they sometimes curse because they may not be doing the activities properly. So due to some reason, they will curse. Even that curse will be a blessings in disguise. It is for their good. Okay, so we'll stop here. Okay. So next, what is this sloga? 26, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Please make a note of that. 26, 1326. Stop the recording. Hare Krishna.